This time I call to order the combined pre-council council meeting, January 21st, 2014. Mayor Tom Girani presiding. The invocation will be delivered by Reverend David Jaspers of the Widgewood Baptist Church, which is located at 1968 Hillcrest Road, at which time the Reverend will also lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance following. Thank you, Reverend.
Our loving Father, we come before you this evening thanking you for life, for health, and for strength, for freedom. Thank you for our great city. Thank you for the many, many blessings you've given to us, and thank you for our leaders. I pray tonight for our mayor and for all the council, the combined council, that you would bless tonight with real wisdom as they have a very long agenda ahead of them, and may they deliberate with unity, and may the right decisions be made. I pray for those tonight that are in need of shelter in this bitter cold. Thank you for the gracious facilities that our city does provide, but for those that may not know their way, just lead them to safety, keep them safe. Thank you for our public servants to watch out for them. And then, Lord, tonight I would especially lift up before you Jeff Plimer and his family and the loss of Jeff's mother, and please give safety to those that have to travel in. Pray that you would just give gracious comfort to their hearts as they mourn their loss. And now, Lord, tonight, please be honored in all that we say and do, and we will give you the praise. In Jesus' name I pray, amen. Amen. Shall we pledge? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
Let's start with roll call. Mayor Girani.
Here.
Councilwoman Barber, absent. Councilman Girl.
Here.
Councilman Hug.
Here.
Councilman McFarland.
Here.
Councilman Morris.
Here.
Councilman Odekirk.
Here.
Councilwoman Quillman. Here. Councilman Turk.
Here.
Next is approval of agenda.
Mr. Mayor, I would recommend moving under the consent agenda, item F, to item C under agenda items and reports, because we have a presentation from the Heritage Corridor Convention and Visitors Bureau Director. And then also, I think, Mayor, you have a proclamation. Make that item B under the agenda items and reports.
Very good. Any objection? No? Okay.
Is there a motion to approve?
So moved. Second.
A motion and seconded to approve. Councilman Girl.
Aye.
Councilman Hug.
Aye.
Councilman McFarland.
Aye.
Councilman Morris.
Aye.
Councilman Odekirk.
Aye.
Councilwoman Quillman.
Aye.
Councilman Turk.
Aye.
Mayor Girani.
Aye.
Next, council committee reports. First is Communication Technology and Information Systems report.
Who's that?
Sorry. Well, since there were so many questions raised at the last council meeting, we met last Wednesday and to review the proposal for outside help for the CTIS Committee for Communications and Computers and Equipment. And rather than approve a full year, we decided to initiate a competitive RFQ request for quote in the first quarter. And then after this, if it's beneficial to us, then we will do an RFP process, and then that'll go for further review at the second half of the year. But Scott had a couple of slides you were going to show us. Or not slides, but a couple of graphs. This is to be approved later this evening. And we were already going to move up Mr. Navarro's project because we talked about it at the CTIS committee. That's what I was discussing. So when he's ready, that'll be it next, I guess, at the agenda.
Okay.
Mr. Mayor and members of the council, I presented a deck last week, or last meeting, that had this slide in it, which outlines the two agreements that we want to carry forward. As Councilwoman Quillman said, there were many questions that came up the first time this hit the agenda. We tabled it at that point. We regrouped, went back, and introduced a competitive process in each of those. But because each of these are complex topics, we need some headroom, some time with which to do that process effectively. And so what we're asking for is funding for the first part of the year for both sets of services to give us time to do the competitive process and then bring those back to council when that process is complete. Any benefits that we would achieve through that will be presented to you, and any, and the whole picture will be laid out, for all the public to see. So that's really the essence of it. I think we did go through this in detail at the last meeting when the two items were tabled, but I will take any questions that you have.
Questions, comments?
Mayor, hi.
Yes, sir.
This is for Jim or maybe somebody on staff. Our current ordinance, I know we must go out for 3 bids for purchases. For professional services contracts, is it at the discretion of staff whether or not they choose to go out for a quote per se?
I believe it's a discretion of city council in professional services contracts. You're allowed to pick the professional, like an engineering group, and then you can negotiate a price for a specific project or each subsequent project.
Okay. I personally, I want to thank Councilman Girdle, actually, who brought this to the forefront at the last council meeting. I like to see possibly in the legislative committee that we create an ordinance that stipulates that on all professional services contracts that we get a minimum of 3 quotes. I think, as I mentioned at the last council meeting, I think the city of Joliet learned their lesson in our health insurance broker. When we finally went out to bid after X amount of years, we saved the city $1.2 million in fees. So that way we're not reinventing this and questioning it every time. I'd like to see something in place where staff for contracts like this automatically know to go out to get at least 3 minimal quotes for professional contracts.
We could certainly schedule that for a legislative committee hearing.
Thank you.
Anything else?
Mayor?
Yes.
And Scott, just to simplify it for the folks watching and myself too, we essentially have two contracts that we're talking about here, which would be services. Services need to be subcontracted because, frankly, we can't afford to put together a full staff of on-site professionals for every facet of both hardware and software. So we have the software, which is going to have the full RFP begun by mid-year, and then issued and bid out at the end of the year, so then it would start in 2015. Because we're doing the hardware one with limited staff, we're doing the hardware one first. So we're approving the first half of the year on the hardware, and by the mid-year, you suspect you should be able, or you are projecting you should be able to do the RFP, roll it out, and award the contract mid-year on the hardware portion.
That's correct.
And then after we get that done, you'll start the RFP process for the software portion. We're staggering them.
That is correct.
And that's why we're asking, because in the interim, for the consulting services that are necessary, because that's essentially our phantom staff, we need to fund both until the RFP is finished and
Exactly.
awarded. And the difference between the RFP and the RFQ, because it's going to take longer, excuse me, on the software till the end of the year, you're doing an RFQ to try to, which is a shortened version of an RFP, if you will, so a request for quote, so that we at least get the best deal we can in the interim until we get the RFP.
Right, essentially, we pay time and material fees, hourly rates per types of service we get. PC break fixes, network services, servers, storage. They're all different disciplines. They all come with different rates. So we pay these rates, and what we're going to do is get quotes on those specific services now. And if we have any opportunity to lower our cost per hour by service, we'll do that, getting some benefit in the first half of the year while we put together a proposal for a more comprehensive service-based proposal for the back end of the year.
Okay, thank you.
Okay?
Anybody else? Okay. Jan?
That concludes our report.
Okay.
Thanks, Scott.
Next is the Economic Development Committee report.
Excuse me, the Economic Development Committee met 5 o'clock here in the council chambers, consisting of myself, Councilman Turk, and Councilman Hug. Retail Strategies give a proposal. Their proposal is pretty much fell in line with the previous two, except for one detail, that after they amass all this information, they will go out and solicit possible investors in our city to try to bring business here, which is an extra step. The price is pretty much the same as the other ones. They will also represent us at the ICSC convention in Las Vegas. They will represent us and try to bring developments here. I asked the question about, since the City Center Partnership is in the process of hiring a developer for downtown, if they would dovetail with the City Center Partnership company that they hire. They said they would. They would work very closely with them to try to help develop downtown. Their price is pretty much the same. I think at this time, probably the committee will meet and review these and decide whether to bring one, two, or all three of them for a full proposal to the council. Also, Scott Kinsella give a report on master fiber planning. He pointed out the increased needs, benefits, et cetera, for businesses and schools, and that it would attract a lot of business. It would help attract a lot of business once these fiber optics were put in, not only throughout the city, but throughout the state. Any other comments, Larry, Mike? No? Okay. That's my report.
Finance Committee report.
The Finance Committee met at 6 p.m. this evening, just before this meeting. Members of the Finance Committee is Councilman Hug and Councilman Girl and myself. Also present was Councilwoman Quillman. We reviewed and declared the antique paddy wagon and fire truck that's used in the parades surplus equipment, and title will be donated back to the Shrine Club. Reviewed the personnel summary, conference, travel, and seminar expense report, treasury disbursements, and regular claims, found them all to be in order and recommend their approval on tonight's agenda.
Public Service Committee report.
Your Honor, the Public Service Committee, comprised of Councilman McFarland and myself, met at 4:30 this afternoon over in the conference room over here to review the contracts, change orders, pay estimates, and final payments. Found them all to be in order, recommend their approval. There was one discussion item, and that was in reference to the automatic meter reading program. The city is winding down. We've had almost everyone have been changed out. All the homes have been changed out to meters that can be automatically read. There are approximately 900 homes that remain that have to be done. We have not had cooperation from the homeowners to get in there to do the change out. Staff is comprising a letter that will go out to those residents, informing them that they have to comply so that everyone gets on this automatic reader program, and if they don't by a specified date, there will be a monthly service charge on their water bill until they come in compliance. So the amount hasn't been determined yet. It was talked about $10, $50, $25, but it's going to have to be made enough so that people will to look at it and comply like the other homeowners have done. So that'll be brought back to us too for more discussion.
Okay, thank you.
Next, we'll present the proclamation. It's recognizing Big Brothers Big Sisters, and January is National Mentoring Month. Sam Nance is here to accept this proclamation.
Hi there.
Okay, very good. Okay, proclamation. Whereas in 2002, Big Brothers Big Sisters of America, along with the Harvard School of Public Health and Mentor, the National Mentoring Partnership, created National Mentoring Month. The goals of National Mentoring Month are to raise awareness of mentoring, recruit individuals to mentor, and encourage organizations to engage and integrate quality and mentoring into their efforts. Research shows that children who are matched with a Big Brother mentor are 46% less likely to use illegal drugs, 27% less likely to start drinking, 52% less likely to skip school, and 37% less likely to skip class, and are more trusting of their parents or guardians. Big Brothers Big Sisters mentoring is a proven cost-effective investment. For every $1 invested in mentoring, there is a $3 return to society. Despite these benefits, there is a gap between the number of available mentors and the number of young people in need of a mentor. Now therefore I, Thomas Durrani, Mayor of the City of Joliet, Illinois, on behalf of the Joliet City Council, do hereby tongue twister.
You gotta say it 3 times.
Do hereby proclaim January 2014 as a mentoring month in the City of Joliet. And we recognize the men and women who serve as staff and volunteers at Big Brothers Big Sisters of Will and Grundy counties, and who help our young people find inner strength and reach their full potential. And it is signed by Thomas Durrani, the mayor, January 21st, 2014. Congratulations.
Thank you, Councilwoman Coleman, Mayor, City Council. On behalf of the Big Brothers Big Sisters of Will and Grundy County, our director, Lisa Elias, who couldn't be here on tonight, she's out of town, and our president, Jim Sturr, whom we're still waiting for at large, and our board members that are here on tonight. Good thing Lisa gave me a script to read. January is the National Mentoring Month, and Big Brothers Big Sisters is using this month to celebrate the volunteer Big Brother and Big Sister mentors as the celebrities that they are in the eyes of their littles. We have all someone in our lives who have been our mentor, and since 1970, Big Brothers Big Sisters of Will and Grundy counties have provided children facing adversity, often those of single-parent or low-income household or families where a parent is incarcerated or serving in the military, or with strong and enduring, professionally supported one-to-one mentoring relationships that change their lives for better and forever. During the National Mentoring Month, we say thank you to our bigs and to our littles and to the entire Joliet City Council. And Mayor, thank you so much. And we got board members with us on tonight. Tell them who you are. Tell them who you are.
Pat Harbor. Pat Schumacher, City of Joliet Police.
And Samantha?
Yep. Sam Nance, Big Brothers Big Sisters.
Thank
Very
you.
good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next on our consent agenda, first is the approval of minutes. It is recommended the minutes of the pre-council meeting held on January 6th and the minutes of the regular meeting held on January 7th, 2014 stand approved as recorded. Council Memo 20-14, regular payroll for December 13th through the 26th, 2013, $3,195,091.56. It is recommended said regular payroll be approved. Treasurer's disbursements for December 2013, $20,867,700.80. Regular claims for December 2013, $3,629,414.20. And Treasurer's report for November 2013, $95,347,867.19. As recommended, said regular payroll, treasurer's disbursements, and regular claims also be approved. Is there a motion to approve?
Second.
Questions?
Been motion and seconded to approve the consent agenda items. Councilman Hug,
Aye.
Councilman McFarland,
Aye.
Councilman Morris,
Aye.
Councilman Otterkirk.
Aye.
Councilwoman Coleman,
Aye, with the exception of those pertaining to my employer.
Councilman Turk,
Aye.
Councilman Girl,
Aye.
Mayor Durrani.
Aye.
Motion carried. Under agenda items and reports, Council Memo 22-14, position vacancies. It is recommended the city manager be authorized to fill one police patrol officer position, one police sergeant position with subsequent vacancy, 2 firefighter paramedic positions, and 1 EMS coordinator lieutenant position and subsequent vacancy.
So moved. Second.
Questions?
I do have one question,
sure.
Mayor. So we've had so many police retire. I was just wondering, Chief Formos, if you could answer, how many firemen have retired since last year?
Well, since the SAFER grant started, why don't I just pass this out? Maybe that'll help.
Thank you.
Thanks, Chief.
Okay, how about if I give you a little rundown on what I've just passed out? What we're asking for, what I've passed out is, these are the retirements since we received the SAFER grant. So you can see along the left-hand corner, I've got individuals' names listed. There are 9 individuals there. The final guy is highlighted. He will be, he's a pending retirement. He's scheduled to retire January 30th of 2014. I have listed their retirement dates and then the SAFER replacement date. When we entered into the SAFER grant, we were supposed to replace these individuals within 6 months of their retirement. So as you can see, the first individual should have been replaced 3/16 of 2013. The next one, 5/2 of 2013. The third one, 7/21 of 2013. And the fourth one, 8/16 of 2013. We entered into 2 different waiver requests with the federal government to not fill those positions as those individuals retired. So you can see that we submitted the first waiver, and we received the okay to not fill the first 2 positions back in January 25th of 2013, and the second 2 positions on July 16th of 2013. And as we marched through the year of last year of 2013, we had 4 more retirements throughout the year. We had 1 individual retire 7/13, then August 16th, September 16th, and October 16th. And on the right-hand side, under the SAFER replacement date, those were the dates that their 6-month anniversary date would have come up, and the federal government would have looked for us to replace those 4 individuals. We did not apply for waivers on these 4 individuals as we were creating the budget for 2014. We discussed replacing some, if not all, of these 8 positions, and that's where you saw the 8 requests come your way with the creation of the budget document for 2014 for the fire department, where we were requesting 8 new hires. What that eight does is it takes care of all the individuals that have left since the SAFER grant. And then what it also does, it creates a 10-man floater buffer on each shift. It gives us 209 individuals on the fire department. It gives us 10 people per shift as floaters, and those are the individuals that fill in when people are on vacation, sick, on workman's comp, that type of thing. And we feel that's a good number for us to have, because we are also supplementing that with 2 individuals every day from Ambulance 9 when we take that out of service. So in essence, we would have a floater pool of 12 individuals per shift. So when we went with this, the bottom little chart, I'll explain that a little bit here. As we applied for the SAFER grant, we had 196 line individuals, 5 staff personnel, which are the 40-hour positions. The line individuals are the 24-hour shift personnel, firefighters. The staff personnel are the 5 40-hour personnel. That's myself, the deputy chief, the battalion chief of operations, battalion chief of training, and the EMS lieutenant. So as you can see, 196 and 5 equals 201 employees. That's what we had when we requested the 8 SAFER people. So we went from 196, 5, and we add 8, that gets us 209. And then we went through the retirements that I mentioned up above. So we went from 196 line people to 194 when we lost the first 2 to retirement. But we did get a waiver, so we went down to 207 employees on the fire department. Then we went down, we lost another 4 individuals, so you can see that that's where we went down from 192 to 188. So we went down to 201 individuals on the fire department, and then pending this next retirement of the EMS lieutenant at the end of the month, we will be down 9 individuals, and that will get us to 200 employees on the fire department if we don't hire any additional people. So to answer your question, Councilwoman Quillman, we've lost 9 and then an additional 3 because we did not fill the battalion chief of EMS, the captain that was in charge of fire inspections, and the captain that was in charge of public education. Those positions are still vacant within Local 2369, and most of those duties are being done by either myself or the deputy fire chief.
Thanks, Chief. I just wanted a number, but thanks for the detailed report.
Well, Chief, could you please explain then what is our obligation to the federal government under the SAFER grant from here till the end of October when the grant ends? Yeah, our requirement is, what we've done is we received 8 SAFER personnel. We received a waiver not to fill 4 of those positions. So basically, we are responsible for filling the 4 positions, the individual that left on 7/31, August 16th, September 16th, October 16th, and then we will be responsible for filling the EMS lieutenant position because his 6-month anniversary is done in July. And then as of October, the end of October, the grant will be done. That will be 2 years. We will have received 2 years of funding then for it. So we are responsible for 4 and then a 5th position here as we go forward. But right now, you're asking for filling 3 positions. I'm looking to fill 3, and the thought with that was that would get us through the March 16th replacement date there, and that would allow us some time to do our strategic plan and come back to you with a report on, basically on the results of the strategic plan, and decide whether we go forward with the remainder of the 8 positions that we had asked for 2014.
Any other questions?
Yeah, Mayor?
Sure.
So if I understand this right, the 3, there's 4 not applied for, the 3 that you would be looking to hire, 2 tonight, that would still be paid under the SAFER grant, correct, Chief? Until October? Yes, we are receiving SAFER monies for 8 people until, it's a 2-year grant, so it would be until November of 2014. Okay, so after that, then it's got to be budgeted for the increase. I'm just trying to keep this straight. We talked about this a year and a half ago, and I really thought the directive from the council was to apply for every grant, every waiver. So I'm not sure why I'm following why only half were applied for. We certainly made a commitment as a group to definitely not go below the 201. We got to keep the services as they were, but I'm noticing that arbitrarily the last 4 just weren't applied for. Well, that was talked about with the previous city manager, and in our last letter to the federal government asking for the variance, for the second set of variances for the one that we received in July, we told the federal government basically that we will focus on filling some or all of these vacant positions when we prepare the 2014 budget. Our goal will be to find funding to fill some or all of the vacant positions, but we are requesting that the waiver be granted so that we would be able to plan for restaffing the fire department beginning in 2014 budget that would become effective January 1, 2014. I'm just still a little confused, and it's not directed at you, Chief. It may have been the previous city manager, as you just explained, but there was the council move forward and said apply for all the 8 vacancies and let's protect the 201. So apparently, without bringing it back before the council, that policy was switched. We're going to only apply for half. And maybe that wasn't you, Chief, maybe that was the city manager? I believe we discussed this when you brought up the question about Ambulance 9 a couple months ago. I think it was brought up that we had yet to apply for those last 4. And I think I walked away from that meeting that night. I thought you said that we can still apply and we'll see what they say, but we didn't apply. No, I reached out to the federal government and asked them what
what would be the repercussions of not filling? So I said, can you tell me what will happen if council does not receive a waiver and chooses not to replace these last 4 retirements? Will we forfeit all of our safer money that we have received so far? Do we only lose funding for the firefighters from the point that they should have been replaced? Example, the first firefighter on the list is supposed to have been replaced January 13, 2014. If he is not, do we forfeit funding for him from January 31st, 2014 until the end of the grant period in October? So I received a notification back that stated worst-case scenario is the department would be considered in default of the grant and will be required to pay back all federal funds received. However, we will work with the department as best we can to ensure that the grant does not go into default. We could take away funding from the number of safer positions that correspond to the number of non-safer positions vacated and not replaced as per the grant requirements or approved waiver. Unfortunately, I'm not able to give you a definite answer at this time. We review each situation on a case-by-case basis.
So had we applied then, and they had rejected the waiver on the final 4, then we would have been obligated to either lose the money or hire, but we never applied, so we didn't get that answer.
No, we did not apply.
Okay. And it just seems to vary from what we originally had talked about. See, I'm back to where I was, and I don't want to revisit history, but I certainly had voted against the Safer Grant originally. It's a matter of public record, because we couldn't guarantee that we could uproot these people to become firemen, and then at the end of the Safer Grant, be able to budget. I mean, we're looking at $5 million or more losing lost revenue, and what appears to be even more inevitable expansion of gaming out east here. And this is directed not at you, Chief. Now I'm talking policy with the rest of us. It seems like we veered away from what we originally, what the majority 7 originally asked to be done, and I just needed to point that out.
For clarification, could we check back and see if that's what I'm not sure if we did or if we didn't, to be very honest. Maybe we can check back in the records, the minutes, and see if that's the position that we did in fact take, for clarification.
Mayor? I just want to make it clear, I don't want to see 4 other people hired, and then with the loss of revenue, pending loss of revenue, say, from the riverboats, and of course the unstable, uncertain economy, we're back in the position that I objected originally, and possibly turning the lives of 4 individuals and their families upside down at the end of the Safer Grant. We're back to the same position.
Well, the alternative to that is paying overtime every day. And just a quick snapshot for the 365-day period last year, the safer funded positions saved us $1.12 million in overtime, as those individuals filled 805 positions, 805 calendar slots, I guess you'd say, on the calendar. If you multiplied that by $1,400 a day is basically what our overtime cost is. That equates out to $1,127,000 in overtime.
And I'm sure that's accurate, Chief. I just have to wonder, I don't know what the year-end exact number was. I don't know, maybe Rachel does. But even with the Safer Grant for the past year, for portions and till the end of the year, I believe the overtime budget was upwards of 200% over. Yeah, I think I'm correct.
The initial overtime budget was drastically undervalued at $750,000 for the year. So that was drastically undervalued to begin with, going out of the gate. This number is going to continue. The overtime figure will continue to grow if we do not replace individuals and we continue to staff all of the positions every day.
And can I make one note about last year's budget as far as the overtime and the salary? So the overtime budget for last year was set assuming that we would keep the 209 positions funded. So we did see savings on the salary side that offset some of the overage in the overtime expense. So as long as we, which is I think what the chief is mentioning, as long as we keep the operations of the fire department at a certain level based on requirements as far as the staffing of the equipment. If we don't, so we saved money on the salary side because we didn't fill positions. We then saw the increase on the overtime side. So the two of them go hand in hand. If one goes up, the other one goes down, depending on how many staffing you have because of the operations of the fire department.
Joe, could we get a rundown of if they're replaced, what our overtime would be, and if they're not replaced, what our overtime would be? And the effect it would, if they're not replaced, what the effect it would have on the manning and equipment out of service, et cetera?
Sure.
Joe, Can you also, I mean, so part of the recommendation, I think that why the budget was put together under the previous city manager at the state it was because when we were discussing the budget, we did look at the cost to staff at a certain level versus overtime. And I know you have those numbers, Joe, in front of you, so if you could speak to those. Part of the reason why we chose the 8 funding number was because it did offset the overtime costs enough to where there was about a $200,000 savings, but that assumed that you still kept Ambulance 9 out of service.
Yeah.
Number of days.
Yes, and what I do have tonight is that basically, as Rachel was talking, we were budgeted for 209 individuals, and throughout the year, we did lose some people. So that salary number should have been transferred over to the overtime account. So when you look at that, there were probably 407 overtime occurrences, or $570,000 that should have been transferred from the salary side to the overtime side as a result of people retiring and positions not being filled. So, and when we looked at, when we did look at a comparison, when you took into account hiring the new people, training them, equipping them, it came out to roughly, I think it was $216,000 that we could save by hiring the 8 individuals this year and putting them on.
Mayor?
$216,000 in overtime.
Yeah.
Joe, I have no questions on the positions. I think they're much needed, and I think I've said it loud and clear. I echo Councilman Hugg's sentiment on us needing Ambulance 9 in service. So if this is a step closer to having this happen, God bless us all. My question is, as we approve this, and I have no problem approving these 3 positions, is what happens to the eligibility list? My understanding that it expired in February of this year.
We have a brand-new eligibility list that we have not taken anyone off of. So we have a brand-new eligibility list in place. Candidate number 1 is waiting to hear, I'm guessing. I know I would be if I was candidate
So
number
could you
1.
explain for myself and for the public, is there's been controversy over the last hiring list and it being stagnant, of when this list went into effect and how long it's valid, and how these 2 new positions would be filled off this new list?
Maybe Mary can help me out a little bit with Police and Fire Board, but I believe the new list went into place, was it last November? I believe we did our testing. The new list went into place last November. With any new hires coming off the new list, these individuals will have to be paramedics to be hired. So we are saving roughly $40,000 in training expenses that we used to pay for individuals that were hired and were not paramedics. So everyone on the new list that is hired will come to us being a paramedic. We may or may not have to send them to the Firefighter Academy for them to receive their Firefighter 2 or their basic firefighter certification. Some of the individuals on the list have that certification. Some don't. So if an individual's hired and he does not have that certification, he will go to a 10-week academy, receive that certification, then he will come back and he will do a couple days of orientation with us and then be placed on shift.
And the list is good for how long?
Is it
It's 1 year with an extension of an extra year,
Extra,
so it can only be 2 years.
Thank you.
I can't recall. I thought it was
Anybody else?
It was motioned and seconded to approve Council Memo 22-14. Councilman McFarland?
Aye.
Councilman Morris?
Aye.
Councilman Otterkirk?
Aye.
Councilwoman Coleman?
Aye.
Councilman Turk?
Aye.
Councilman Girl?
Aye.
Councilman Hug?
Aye.
Mayor Durrani?
Aye.
Motion carried.
Thank you.
Next is Council Memo 21-14, an agreement with the Heritage Corridor Convention and Visitors Bureau for the administration of city-related marketing and tourism promotions and approval of the annual summer media campaign and DECO IoT International Grant Match. It is recommended this agreement be approved.
So moved.
Your second? I'm sorry, James, your second.
I do
Questions?
believe we have Bob Navarro
Bob
here
Navarro,
to
like
give a
this.
presentation.
Sure.
Hello, Mayor and Council. Thank you for the opportunity today to talk with you a little bit about the proposed agreement. Get set up here. All right. Well, as you know, tourism is economic development. Tourism attracts visitors to the area. It brings dollars to the community. It also brings tax revenues, both local and state tax revenues to your community. So tourism attracts also attention through marketing and PR initiatives, and it brings cultural, entertainment, and recreational opportunities to the community as well. So tourism is economic development. It is promoting your destination is probably economic development's best kept secret, because you already have the infrastructure in place to promote the assets that you have regarding tourism. Just want to let you know that in 2012, and this is the most recent data from the U.S. Travel Association, but in 2012, here in Illinois, the tourism industry was nearly a $31 billion business. So that was up 5% from the previous year. And this is domestic travelers only. A little bit later in the presentation, I'm going to reference international visitors. So these domestic travelers only are generating $31 billion for the state of Illinois. On the average, visitors are spending about $85 million in Illinois businesses every day. And the tourism industry hosted 99 million domestic visitors in 2012. So it's more specifically for Will County, travel expenditures here in the county were over $600 million regarding the expenditures, whether that's for transportation or lodging, attractions, and that sort of thing. So it is, Will County was the 4th largest county in Illinois. And so tourism in the county is definitely a significant driver of economic impact. Give you a little quick video about our Bureau services. Sound. Sound. Maybe there won't be a video. Should I try it again? All right, we're going to pass the video. The Heritage Corridor Convention and Visitors Bureau, we are the state certified destination marketing and... What are you doing to me? We're the state-certified destination marketing and management agency for the communities and counties along the historic Illinois-Michigan Canal. So that includes Will County, Grundy County, LaSalle County, and Putnam County. Our 3 major assets that we promote, obviously, is Starved Rock State Park, Route 66, and the Illinois-Michigan Canal. So those are the 3 areas that people are coming to us for information, and those are the 3 assets that we're promoting for our region. We partner with the Illinois Department of Economic Opportunity, most specifically the Illinois Office of Tourism. We apply for and receive state grant funding. That state grant funding comes from the state hotel motel tax that's collected. And then we use that funding to promote the local assets. And so Joliet would directly benefit from our agreement with the state of Illinois. The partnership agreement that you have in front of you has 3 main aspects. One is destination management, the other is destination marketing, and the third is destination development. So under the destination management, we will perform a variety of services for the city staff, and one that comes to mind will be like IHSA, and we can talk a little bit more about that. Destination marketing includes your summer media campaign. So we will act as your marketing agency to go out for bid and bring in other co-ops for the campaign and move that campaign forward. And then destination development has to do with how we develop our assets, most specifically Route 66. And there's some opportunity there to bring more state dollars here locally to promote Route 66 attractions and opportunities. Are we plugged in yet?
No, but I can make it through that.
I can keep going. So the professional contract includes tourism marketing efforts, fulfillment, distribution services, the annual certification, local event and marketing support, as well as CVB and chamber publications. So those are the types of things that we would do on your behalf, since the city does not have staff to perform those functions. So we would do those on your behalf, do those placements, and complete those services. When I talk about fulfillment and distribution services, we take the Joliet visitor guide and we distribute to the Illinois tollways. We also take it to Indiana Tollway, a variety of hotels. I think there's about 400, 500 hotels that we distribute the visitor guide to. And so visitors have access to the Joliet information. We also work with the City Center Partnership in promoting the downtown events, and one specific event that we work with is the Joliet Annual Star Wars Days, and we promote that at the C2E2 convention. And very proud fact that Joliet has the second largest costume characters attending a Star Wars event in the whole United States. First to the Lucasfilm Days that happens in Florida, and then the second largest for costume characters is here in Joliet. So we want to continue to promote that. We had over almost 5,000 people attend last year's one-day Star Wars event here in downtown, so that's pretty remarkable. You'd see great pictures from the Star Wars event that I have in this presentation. Some great video. Also, the summer media campaign. The summer media campaign, all of you, I gave Krista copies of this, but this is a recap of last summer's campaign, so you'll see the type of media that was placed on your behalf. Videos were created, launched, and you'll see the value of that campaign here. So this is a recap of last summer. So on your behalf, we will take if you believe in your council memo, there's $45,000 allocated to the summer media campaign. What we do is we go then to a variety of partners in the community, the casino, City Center Partnership, the museum, the Rialto, the mall, a variety of local partners. They actually co-opt dollars into your campaign. So the city's seeing at least a 1-to-4, if not a 1-to-5 ratio for your investment on the actual dollars that we're using to buy media on your behalf. We spent over $210,000 last year in media to promote the city of Joliet. You're doing something to my presentation. Doing something to me. That's okay.
You're doing a good job.
Is it ready?
You're doing a good job.
No.
All right.
We're having
So, and the third area is destination development, and that's where we try to bring more state dollars here locally to promote, to develop assets that we are interested in not just promoting, but also developing. And the low-hanging fruit, so to speak, for Joliet would be our Route 66 assets. And so we apply for some state dollars to strengthen what we have here in the community to promote Route 66. The kiosk that is at the Joliet Museum was part of that international grant last year. The previous year, the big sign that's on the street on Chicago Street that lights up and has sound to it, that was part of the international grant the year before. This year's international grant will do a cell phone tour for downtown where people can scan it and punch in a number, and they can hear information about that building and be directed to a website for more information. So those are the types of things that we do with that international grant to try to develop the assets that you have here in Joliet, specifically to Route 66. We also created a JolietKicks.com website, part of that grant, and that's translated to a variety of languages. The kiosk at the museum is also translated to 4+ languages. So there's always a component to make it easier for our international visitors to access the resources that we have here locally. And I was going to end with a couple videos, but you're going to have to wait for another presentation. Other than that, I'll be able to field any questions that you might have about the agreement.
You know, Mayor.
Sure.
It's a shame. He gave his whole presentation to our committee, and it was great. And I asked him to get it together to show the council to see what we're really
we got
getting
it.
with partnership as far as marketing, because it's been sorely needed in our town. It looks, maybe, did we get it up? Is that a yes or no?
it up, but I don't believe we got the audio working.
Oh, what a shame. Could we maybe get it up on our website?
Sure.
So people at home can look at it, and council as well, because it's really a nice presentation. I thank you, Bob, for doing that.
Thank you, appreciate that, thank you.
I agree, Jan. I saw this presentation too at the City Center Partnership, and you did a terrific job, but everything was working, but.
It's great what technology works.
Part of the agreement includes Bob making more regular visits to council, so he can bring it back once we have our audio-visual working.
Thank you.
Mayor?
Yeah.
One thing. Bob, I'd like to welcome you back into a partnership with the city. I know the city and your organization had a partnership many years before, and with the budget restrictions and whatnot, I'm happy to see that you're going to carry the water for us and you're offering to do all these things. But at a policy level here at the council, as we move forward in this transportation center downtown Joliet, I really like to see staff in whatever committee that it is overseeing the transportation hub really look at giving us an office in the transportation center for the Visitors Bureau. I know in this agreement, it's allowing for staffing over the summer months over on the other side of Bluff Street. But let's be realistic. Let's capture the folks that are coming to Joliet in this transportation hub. We're going to have the bus terminal there. We're going to have the trains coming in out there. It's going to be a hub for the bikeway. I think it's very important if we want to capture the folks that are visiting Joliet, that truly want to see what Joliet has to offer in the amenities. I think we need to seriously consider putting an office downtown in that transportation center. As we know, and as everybody knows, Jackson Street Bridge is up, or I should say down now. It's open, but in reality, how many folks really visit that Bluff Street office to want to see what's happening in Joliet? I think it's it's off-site. It's not easily accessible. I think it's a win-win for everybody if we really consider giving them some type of office or a kiosk or something inside the transportation hub to really highlight what we have to offer in Joliet.
Thank you for bringing it up. The Bureau would be thrilled to engage in some long-term planning regarding the transportation center and having a presence in there that makes sense for the city. We only staff the Bluff Street at the request of the city of Joliet. We do not use it as an office. We use it more of a visitor center in the summer months. And when we first started doing that for the city, visitation was a little bit higher than it was this past summer. So we have seen the visits to that center go down. So that would be something that we should have a thoughtful discussion about, and what is that actually doing for the city.
Councilman, if I may interrupt, Councilman McFarland, I think that's an excellent idea. In fact, Bob and I actually started a draft of that in the agreement. We just weren't quite sure of the timing of the transportation center, so I think all the suggestions that you made are certainly things that will hand in hand with where we're looking at down the road. So we'll report back to you as we get closer to that.
Thank you.
And if I might add, Mayor, this is just the beginnings. We had to start somewhere.
Right. Bob, isn't a lot of this information available on the kiosk at the Historical Museum that the Rotary Club donated? Isn't it some of this on there? What's available? What the visit here in town and so forth and so on?
The kiosk that's at the Joliet Museum is a standalone kiosk. It's a touch screen that you can touch for attractions and restaurants and shopping. That's the one that was part of the international grant that is also translated in different languages. So the Rotary screen, I believe, is a different exhibit area.
Yeah, but they show different places to visit and so forth and so on. In the city.
Absolutely.
Yes. Okay. Any other comments?
Sure.
Yes, sure.
I know that it seems that some of the council have actually viewed your presentation here, and I would have liked the chance to have viewed it as well. Mayor, is there any way that possibly we could reschedule Bob and he could come back at a later date? I know we don't have the time here, and it doesn't seem like the audio is working, but maybe you can come back and visit us in the next month or two, and I'd really like to see your presentation.
Sure. The videos that were the bang or the pop for the presentation. One is a commercial that we created for the city last year, so give you a little flavor of the campaign media. Another is a commercial that the state created regarding Route 66, and it kind of highlights our local area, so I wanted to show that to you. And the third video that I wanted to bring up was was another commercial that was created by the state, and it's part of their Mini Abe campaign, where they take this little Mini Abe on different adventures throughout the state, and the actual Chicagoland Speedway is featured in that buy. So those two national commercials for Route 66, we actually received calls in our office for people that saw those commercials in Hawaii and New York, so that was really kind of exciting to be part of a state's commercial that highlights our local area. So I'll be glad to come back and show those or give them to Krista so they're online for you.
Great. I think marketing our city is so important, so I'd really like to see your presentation. Thank you.
Anybody else? Thanks, Bob. Thank you very much. There's a motion and second. Krista?
There was motion and seconded to approve Council Memo 21-14. Councilman Morris?
Aye.
Councilman Otterkirk?
Aye.
Councilwoman Coleman?
Aye.
Councilman Turk?
Aye.
Councilman Girl?
Aye.
Councilman Hug?
Aye.
Councilman McFarland?
Aye.
Mayor Durrani?
Aye.
Motion carried.
Thank you.
Next, under public hearings, Council Memo 24-14, approving the annexation of 405 Scribner Street. This includes a resolution approving the annexation agreement, the ordinance approving the annexation, and the ordinance approving the classification of 405 Scribner to R2 zoning. It's recommended said resolution and ordinances be adopted.
Mr. Hock, brief explanation.
Yes, the owner of 405 Scribner Street had a failed septic system. So the main purpose is to obtain city sewer services, and so part of that is annexation. And along with this, the garage encroaches a little bit, a few inches, so we would be accepting the property as is. And of course, there is the requirement that they do the sewer connection and the water connection and pay the appropriate tap-on fees.
Any questions? Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Krista?
It's motion and seconded to approve. Councilman Otterkirk?
Aye.
Councilwoman Coleman?
Aye.
Councilman Turk?
Aye.
Councilman Girl?
Aye.
Councilman Hug?
Aye.
Councilman McFarland?
Aye.
Councilman Morris?
Aye.
Mayor Durrani?
Aye.
Motion carried. Under ordinances and resolutions, Council Memo 25-14, an ordinance reapproving the preliminary plan unit development of Hiller Farm subdivision for an additional 3-year extension. It is recommended said ordinance be adopted.
So moved.
Second.
I know Mr. Hanson requested to speak on this.
Thank you, Mayor. Mayor, members of the council, Mike Hanson, Joliet attorney. I'm here tonight to make a few comments on the proposal. I represent Greg and Marlene Schaefer. Mr. Schaefer is here tonight. I think many of you know Mr. Schaefer, longtime Joliet resident, president of First Community Financial Bank in Plainfield. In order to refresh the memory of the council people who were here 6 years ago and to inform those who are new to the council since then, when this development, Mr. and Mrs. Schaefer live on Arbiter Road right in the middle of this development. When this development came to the city of Joliet 6 years ago, we worked with the then city council, city manager, to include provisions in the annexation agreement of this property, which were favorable to Mr. and Mrs. Schaefer. In turn, Mr. and Mrs. Schaefer annexed their property to the city of Joliet. And their property, as I said, sits right in the middle of this development. And we are not in objection to the request of Marquette Properties tonight to extend their plat. They've already done it on one occasion 3 years ago. I think we're all aware of the development atmosphere that's persisted in our area for the last 6 years. But only here to, like I said earlier, refresh and remind those council members that at that time we think the best approach for the city and for my clients is for the Marquette Properties or the then purchaser of the property, whenever it might be developed, to purchase the property, Mr. and Mrs. Schaefer, because that would be the best alternative for everybody involved. And so, again, we are not in objection to this request. Just wanted to come here, make ourselves known, and comment again like we did 3 years ago about the nature of the development. So that's what I'd like to say to the council tonight.
Thank Mike.
Thank you very much.
Your Honor?
Yes.
One question, Mike.
Mike?
No changes, right, in the,
No, there's no changes. Everything is fine.
all right, thank you.
We do have a motion and go ahead.
Can I ask why we're, Mike, maybe you can answer, why a 3-year extension?
No, the city ordinance says every 3 years you
It
got
has
to get
to
the
be-
plat
gotcha,
re-extended. And
okay.
certainly Marquette Properties in the nature of business wants to get that plat extended so they can in turn sell the property. We understand that.
Just one, so Mike, your issue is more, I guess the homestead wasn't sold with the property? Is that what you're saying?
Well,
Like for market
when
properties
we
to acquire the
discussed this
homestead?
matter 6 years ago, we thought that the best option would be for market properties, since they wanted to sell it, develop then, of course, times have changed, would be to purchase our property. Then the road from across the street would extend through our property. We would not be in the middle of a residential development at that time.
I
So,
agree, yeah. How many acres is the homestead? How many acres is the property?
We have, 3 acres?
3 acres?
Yeah.
Okay, and I guess that just wasn't part of the deal at the time of
Yeah,
market properties?
exactly. And-
Okay. Okay, very good.
Thank you very much.
Krista?
It was motioned and seconded to approve. Councilwoman Coleman?
Aye.
Councilman Turk?
Based on the fact there's no change in the PUD, I think it's appropriate for the extension. I vote aye.
Councilman Girl?
I agree with Councilman Turk, I vote aye.
Councilman Hug?
Aye.
Councilman McFarland? Councilman Morris?
Aye.
Councilman Otterkirk?
Aye.
Mayor Durrani?
Aye.
Motion carried. Council Memo 26-14, an ordinance approving the vacation of Duncan Street right-of-way from Railroad Street east to the Des Plaines River. It is recommended said ordinance be adopted.
So moved.
Second?
Questions? Krista?
It's motion and seconded to approve. Councilman Turk?
Aye.
Councilman Girl?
Aye.
Councilman Hug?
Aye.
Councilman McFarland?
Aye.
Councilman Morris?
Aye.
Councilman Otterkirk?
Aye.
Councilwoman Coleman?
Aye.
Mayor Durrani?
Aye.
Motion carried. Council Memo 27-14, an ordinance approving the vacation of a 66 by 283-foot portion of Van Buren Street and a 66 by 691-foot portion of Herkimer Street located on the Joliet Central High School campus. It's recommended said ordinance be adopted.
So moved.
Second.
Is there any questions? Krista?
It was motion and seconded to approve. Councilman Girl?
Aye.
Councilman Hug?
Aye.
Councilman McFarland?
Aye.
Councilman Morris?
Aye.
Councilman Otterkirk?
Aye.
Councilwoman Coleman?
Aye.
Councilman Turk?
Aye.
Mayor Durrani?
Aye.
Motion carried. Council Memo 28-14, an ordinance adopting an engineering review fee. It is recommended said ordinance be adopted.
So moved?
Second.
Could we have an
Sure.
explanation? please?
Just as an explanation, these days with our budget constraints and escalating costs, we surveyed other local communities and found that we're one of the few communities that don't charge potential developers for their engineering review when they come in for a preliminary plat or a final plat, recording plat, and so forth. So we have proposed what we believe is in line with what other cities have adopted, and not to be too excessive, but cover our expenses.
Any questions?
It's motion and seconded to approve. Councilman Hug?
Aye.
Councilman McFarland?
Aye.
Councilman Morris?
Aye.
Councilman Otterkirk?
Aye.
Councilwoman Coleman?
Aye.
Councilman Turk?
Aye.
Councilman Girl?
Aye.
Mayor Durrani?
Aye.
Motion carried. Council Memo 29-14, an ordinance amending Section 8.2A of the subdivision regulations for park site contributions. It is recommended said ordinance be adopted.
So moved.
Second.
Krista?
It's been motioned and seconded to approve. Councilman McFarland?
Aye.
Councilman Morris?
Aye.
Councilman Otterkirk?
Aye.
Councilwoman Coleman?
I absolutely agree. It's about time they made these parks bigger. I vote aye.
Councilman Turk?
Aye.
Councilman Girl?
Aye.
Councilman Hug?
Aye.
Mayor Durrani?
Aye.
Motion carried. Council Memo 30-14, an ordinance approving a special use permit to allow an adult daycare center located at 107 North Reed Street. It is recommended said ordinance be adopted.
So moved.
Second.
Is there any questions?
I do have a couple.
Sure.
Just, is there anybody here to ask the question of?
Someone here
Oh,
from?
okay.
Okay.
Just for clarification, come to the podium. Now, did you have a place over on Route 30? Was that your place?
1401 Plainfield Road, Route 30? Mm-hmm.
Okay, further down, like in New Lenox as well? There was another place further down on Route 30, not Plainfield Road, but Route 30 further down over in New Lenox. It was called Autumn Care years ago.
In New Lenox?
Yes.
Yes, that's the same.
That's the same place? So is that still there, or is this?
Oh, no, we shut that down 2000
Okay, so then you moved to Plainfield Road?
in 98.
Okay, and then you want to move here?
Yes,
Okay,
we're
just
expanding
wondering-
our business.
That's All I wanted to know is, do you only have the one place then here in this?
In Joliet,
Going to be
yes.
70 adults?
The facility we have right now accommodates 42 clients.
Right, but the one, your new one accommodates 70?
Yes.
Okay, that's all I want to know. Okay. Thank
Ma'am,
you.
for the record, would you give your name and address, please?
Cassie Waterman, 3231 Sharon Court, here in
Thank you.
Joliet.
Thank you. Any other questions?
Just a comment, Mayor.
Sure.
Yeah, ma'am, I believe I spoke with you on the phone several months ago about this. It's my understanding you've made a significant investment in this property, and
We are, yes.
I thank you. I've received positive comments from the neighbors, and I think you worked with several members of city staff to make this happen, so I want to thank city staff also.
Thank you.
This motion seconded to approve, Councilman Morris,
Aye.
Councilman Otterkirk.
Aye.
Councilwoman Coleman,
Welcome to the neighborhood. Vote aye.
Councilman Turk,
Aye.
Councilman Girl,
Aye.
Councilman Hug,
Aye.
Councilman McFarland,
Aye.
Ronnie.
Aye.
Motion carried. Council Memo 31-14, an ordinance approving a special use permit to allow a used car sales lot for up to 15 cars located at 1213 North Broadway Street. It is recommended said ordinance be adopted.
Entertain a motion to deny?
I'll second.
Any questions? None?
This motion is seconded to deny, Councilman Otterkirk,
Aye.
Councilwoman Coleman,
Aye.
Councilman Turk,
Aye.
Councilman Girl,
Aye.
Councilman Hug,
Aye.
Councilman McFarland,
Aye.
Councilman Morris,
Aye.
Mayor Durrani.
Aye.
Motion carried. Council Memo 32-14, an ordinance declaring certain properties as public nuisances. It is recommended said ordinance be adopted.
So move.
Second.
Any questions? Krista?
Motion and seconded to approve, Councilwoman Coleman,
Aye.
Councilman Turk,
Aye.
Councilman Girl,
Aye.
Councilman Hug,
Aye.
Councilman McFarland,
Aye.
Councilman Morris,
Aye.
Councilman Otterkirk,
Aye.
Mayor Durrani.
Aye.
Motion carried. Under resolutions, Council Memo 34-14, a resolution declaring certain City of Joliet property as surplus. It is recommended said resolution be adopted.
So moved.
Second.
Questions? Krista?
It was motion and seconded to approve, Councilman Turk,
Aye.
Councilman Girl,
Aye.
Councilman Hug,
Aye.
Councilman McFarland,
Aye.
Councilman Morris,
Aye.
Councilman Otterkirk,
Aye.
Councilwoman Coleman,
Aye.
Mayor Durrani.
Aye.
Motion carried. Council Memo 35-14, a resolution authorizing the sale of property at 300 Union. It is recommended said resolution be adopted.
So move.
Second.
Questions?
Mayor?
Yes.
I just wanted to go on record that the person who's purchasing the home, as well as the Realtor who usually attends our meetings, both were unable to attend this evening, and just wanted to make sure that the purchaser is very interested in the property, and their lack of presence wouldn't interfere with your decision.
All right. Okay. Thank you. Thanks, Jim.
This motion is seconded to approve, Councilman Hug,
Aye.
Councilman McFarland.
Aye.
Councilman Morris.
Aye.
Councilman Otterkirk.
Aye.
Councilwoman Coleman.
Aye.
Councilman Turk.
Aye.
Councilman Girl.
Aye.
Mayor Durrani.
Aye.
Motion carried. Council Memo 36-14, a resolution authorizing an amendment to the home agreement between the City of Joliet and Habitat for Humanity, for property located at 519 Summit. It is recommended said resolution be adopted.
So move.
Second.
Any questions?
Just that there are representatives from Habitat for Humanity here to answer any questions that you may have
Anyone
about
want
this
to speak on that? Sure.
Hi, everybody.
Aye.
Aye.
Annette Leck, 3107 Covered Bridgeway. Any questions? This has been on, we were approved once and then we didn't get it together. I think this has been in the works for 5 years. Thanks to the tireless work of Jim Haller, he's finally got it put together, and I hope you approve it.
Okay.
Any questions?
Krista?
Excuse me, I don't want to steal Annette's thunder, but I'm here representing, my name is Bob Steven. I live at 1163 Black Road for the last 33 years. In fact, I live right next to the fire chief. Joe, if my house burns down, it's your fault. Anyway, we're doing this Summer Street project that we started some 3 years ago, and really the only reason I'm here is to explain. There's many people that don't really know what Habitat is, and I'm not going to sit here and and blow smoke about Habitat. But we met, we met with your city manager yesterday or last week, tried to explain to him what we do. This is the farthest westward we've ever been building a Habitat house. And this is in Stone and Summit where we ran into some difficulties because of the infrastructure, and we had to delay it. That's why we're really asking for the amendment to the $138,000 that's been approved some time ago. So I just wanted to inform you, the council, thank you for considering us. However, are there any questions about Habitat? It's one of the best organizations out there. We got about 60-some houses now, 62 moms that have homes that never would, maybe 200 kids that never would have homes in the Joliet and surrounding communities. It's a great organization, not a giveaway. And I don't know if any of you people know how it works. I'm not going to, unless you would really request that, I can give it to you very, very briefly.
Bob, I'm sure everyone up here is pretty up to snuff on what Habitat for Humanity is.
Okay, as long as you know you don't have any questions, thank you for, well, you haven't voted yet.
Okay.
Thank you for your future vote.
All right, Bob.
It was motioned and seconded to approve Councilman McFarland.
Aye.
Councilman Morris.
Aye.
Councilman Otterkirk.
Aye.
Councilwoman Coleman.
Let me think about it. Aye.
Councilman Turk.
Aye.
Councilman Girl.
I'd say, looking at that crew out there, I'm voting aye.
Councilman Hug.
Aye.
Mayor Durrani.
Aye, and good luck on that.
Thank you.
Sure, sure,
Motion carried.
sure.
We are going to build a very beautiful house.
I'm sure.
Very proud of it.
Good luck.
And we're very happy to come back to the city of Joliet.
Good to see you.
Council Memo 37-14, a resolution approving the 2014 Joliet Police Department and Joliet PSAP's 911 surcharge reallocation grants. It is recommended said resolution be adopted.
Jim, could we have a brief explanation?
Sure. This is the Will County Emergency 911 Telephone System Board, and every year there's an allocation, reallocation grant program that goes back to public safety. Amongst all of those taxes you're charged on your cell phone, you'll notice that one of those goes into a statewide fund, which then reallocates funding back to municipalities, and that expenditure has to be directed towards public safety communication. So it's recommended that this year's allocation go towards the purchase of in-squad mobile data police computers and radio and communications equipment.
Thank you.
I'll second the motion.
Yes.
Was there a motion? I didn't.
Yes.
John.
I'm sorry.
Oh, he did? Oh, I'm sorry. Okay.
It's been motioned and seconded to approve. Councilman Morris.
Aye.
Councilman Otterkirk.
Aye.
Councilwoman Coleman.
Aye.
Councilman Turk.
Aye.
Councilman Girl.
Aye.
Councilman Hug.
Aye.
Councilman McFarland.
Aye.
Mayor Durrani.
Aye.
Motion carried. Councilmemo 38-14, a resolution appropriating funds for the Phase 2 engineering services for the Caton Farm and Essington Road intersection improvements project. It is recommended said resolution be adopted.
So moved.
Second.
Any questions? Kristen?
It was motion and seconded to approve. Councilman Otterkirk.
Aye.
Councilwoman Coleman.
Aye.
Councilman Turk.
Aye.
Councilman Girl.
Aye.
Councilman Hug.
Aye.
Councilman McFarland.
Aye.
Councilman Morris.
Aye.
Mayor Durrani.
Aye.
Motion carried. Bids and contracts, award of contracts. Council Memo 40-14, award a price agreement for the 2014 electrical maintenance assistance contract. Council Memo 41-14, award a professional services contract for the Phase 2 engineering services for the Caton Farm and Essington Road intersection improvements project. Council Memo 42-14, purchase a replacement sludge mixing pump for the East Side wastewater treatment plant.
Yeah, I'll ask him after the meeting.
Council Memo 43-14, award a contract for the 2014 wastewater treatment plant refuse disposal contract. Council Memo 44-14, award a contract for the NPDES compliance analytical testing services. Council Memo 45-14, award a contract for professional services for radiological testing for the Public Utilities Department. Council Memo 46-14, award a contract for professional services for laboratory analysis for the nutrient study at the wastewater treatment plants. Council Memo 47-14, approve annual contract for information technology on-site support services. Council Memo 48-14, request for authorization to approve annual contract for information technology hardware support services. Council Memo 49-14, approve payment of snow removal for January 5th and 6th, 2014. Council Memo 50-14, approve emergency salt purchase roadways division. It is recommended Council Memos 40-14 through 50-14 be approved.
So moved, Your Honor.
Second?
Any questions on those?
This motion is seconded to approve. Councilwoman Coleman?
Aye.
Councilman Turk?
Aye.
Councilman Girl?
Aye.
Councilman Hug?
Aye.
Councilman McFarland?
Aye.
Councilman Morris?
Aye.
Councilman Otterkirk?
Aye.
Mayor Durrani?
I vote aye. Mike, your units? Well, how are we fixed for salt right now for the rest of the winter?
Mr. Mayor, we started the year with our salt domes full at about 6,400 tons. We had an order in through the state contract for 7,000 more tons, and with the option to go up to 8,400 tons. So that's a total of about 14,800 tons that we had available this year. Including last night's storm, we've used about 11,440 tons. So we have a supply on hand, but it's getting depleted. That's why we want to go with this emergency purchase.
Thank you.
Motion carried. Next, amendments, change orders, and payments. Council Memo 52-14, approve amendment number 1 for the professional services agreement for the U.S. Route 6 sanitary sewer improvements project. Council Memo 53-14, approve change order number 1 and payment number 12 for the 2013 biosolids agronomics services contract. Council Memo 54-14, approve change order number 5 and payment number 4 and final for the 2013 Utilities Restoration Program Phase 1 contract. It is recommended Council Memos 52-14 through 54-14 be approved.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second?
Questions?
This
Krista?
motion is seconded to approve. Councilman Turk?
Aye.
Councilman Girl?
Aye.
Councilman Hug?
Aye.
Councilman McFarland?
Aye.
Councilman Morris?
Aye.
Councilman Otterkirk?
Aye.
Councilwoman Coleman?
Aye.
Mayor Durrani?
Aye.
Motion carried. Next, under Mayor Durrani appointments. It is recommended Chief Joe Formals and Lieutenant Eric Mattson be reappointed to the Fireman's Pension Fund Board of Trustees.
So moved.
Second.
Krista?
Motion is seconded to approve. Councilman Girl?
Aye.
Councilman Hug?
Aye.
Councilman McFarland?
Aye.
Councilman Morris?
Aye.
Councilman Otterkirk?
Aye.
Councilwoman Coleman?
Aye.
Councilman Turk?
Aye.
Mayor Durrani?
Aye.
Motion carried. Next is new business not for final action or recommendation.
Anything? Nope.
Mayor and council comments are,
John?
I have no comments, Your Honor.
Councilman Hug?
Nothing.
Nothing?
Nothing, Your Honor.
I just would like to compliment and thank our Dale Evans and everybody who came out yesterday for the Martin Luther King Day of Service. Specifically, all the high school kids that were there. Mayor, I know you were there and you spoke about it.
Yeah.
We had a large number of youth that was there. It was really good to see. I went out to the Abraham Lincoln Cemetery again this year, and it was nice because it was nowhere near as cold as it was a year ago. But we had so many people, we really were able to knock out the job out there in relatively short order. So thank you to everyone, and congratulations to our Dale on another job well done.
Actually, there were several events that Dale, he was busy this weekend. His first event was a brunch at the Renaissance Center, and Joliet Township High School Band spoke or played, and they're excellent. If you haven't heard them, you need to get over and have one of their concerts. They're fantastic. And second of all, they had wonderful speakers in honor of Martin Luther King Day, and the food was good, and Councilman Mike Turk was there as well. And then also on Sunday evening, there was a big ecumenical church service at Prairie Tower Church, which was also very entertaining and wonderful speakers in charge to memorialize Martin Luther King. And I just would like one more addition here to thank our water department for the fantastic job they've been doing with all the water breaks. They've been working like night and day, and I know those guys are tired, but they're doing a great job, and they're trying to keep up with everything, as well as our street department with the snow plowing. And these guys have been busy all winter, so appreciate what you do, because I haven't really had any complaints at all. So Thanks to everybody.
Nothing, Your Honor.
I have a couple, concerning snow plowing. I refused a few calls, complaints, but not as many as I expected with all the snow we have. And I did get some positive calls, too. I got about a half a dozen positive calls complimenting the street crews on how they did. I also received compliments about waste management and their garbage pickup through the nasty weather. I seen on the electronic signs, no parking on the streets with 2 inches or more snow. I received a suggestion from a citizen, maybe either in the fall or the time of year to be determined, to maybe put a reminder in the water bills about that, because I think we still have a lot of residents that are parking on the street during the 2-inch snowfall. Also, I did get a complaint. I don't know, I think we have a city ordinance. Is there anything we can do to get the business owners to shovel the snow in front of their business so people don't have to worry about falling down? I think we have an ordinance that
We do.
they have to do that. Maybe, I don't know how we go about enforcing it, but maybe we can do something to get them to do that.
And that's something that the business owners has to be conscientious of, and as you know, at times when we've had so much snow, there's nowhere to really push it into, because they're not supposed to push it into the street either.
Yeah.
So we kind of compromise on those days or times when there's so much snow. Luckily, we've had these thaws and haven't had to, if all the snow we've had so far was still here, we'd have to be going downtown with our dump trucks and loading up the snow to remove it, because there would be so much. But you're right, that is something that we do need to remind the business community about.
Thank you. And also, last Friday, myself and Senator McGuire met with IDOT, representatives from IDOT about the bridge, and I know Scott touched on it a little bit with the fiber optics that they're going to do to connect all the bridges. They are inspected every 2 years, and they did say they do have parts on hand for the bridges. But sometimes, as I stated, like an old home, you get into them and you run into things you don't expect, and those parts have to be made, and that's usually what the delay is. While I was there, I saw blueprints of one of the bridges. I wasn't sure which one it was, but the blueprints were dated 1913. So the bridges are old. Eventually, all the bridges are going to be operated from Bridge and Bluff Street. They're going to let a bid this year for the fiber optics. That's 2014. It'll be done 2015. And in 2015, each bridge will be down 4 to 6 weeks. But, and Jim was there, maybe if you want to head on. I forgot, Jim, you were there too. And Jim did ask about us being able to connect to the fiber optics for the cameras. But they're going to be down 4 to 6 weeks, and we asked them to contact either City Center Partnership or somebody from the city, so they don't raise a bridge when we have an event going on downtown, whether it be a car show, whether it be the Fan Fest or whatever. So, Jim, you want to?
No, just that earlier this afternoon was a presentation to the Economic Development Commission by our IT director, talking about connectivity within the entire downtown area with high-speed internet, fiber optics. And although there are various anticipated phases of that, a lot of that is dependent because it's a fraction of the cost if the street's already open and you put it in versus going in and doing it yourself. But with 2014 having the IDOT connect all of those bridges, that's our probably first phase or earliest opportunity where we can incorporate that project, maybe along with connecting the police station with the transportation center.
That's all I have. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved. Second.
Been motioned and seconded to adjourn. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Meeting adjourned.